did. She wore them on Christmas.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
I love your very strange lesbian Catholic girlfriend.
Hi everyone, welcome to the It You Trash crew and gentlemen strangers. I did try to do a countdown, but then what happened was I thought it'd be funnier to just go live and see what foul thing Izzy was saying at the moment, and I think I really nailed it on that one. I don't think the session's going to get any better than this, to be honest.
There are Catholic lesbians.
For sure, I've met them. Not all of them. Or have I? Actually, maybe I have. I've
met all 5 of them.
Right. I hope everyone has had a wonderful festive period. I can still say Happy New Year because it's still January, and I haven't engaged with the wonderful trash community for a long time. So I hope everyone had a wonderful festive season. Or, with all due respect to any of you celebrating the Lunar New Year, Happy New Year. I hope the rabbit hops into your life. I'm not.
Actually, it's quite funny. We, as a couple, we haven't received a lot of greetings cards because we are, millennials. Greetings cards aren't our thing, but we got a really beautiful Happy Lunar New Year card.
Focus on it, camera.
It won't. It'll blur it because it thinks it's background.
It will.
Put it in your face.
Anyway, it's really nice. And it's about the only festive card we got. So it's nice. I guess we're
year of the rabbit card from.
I guess we're lunar folk now. What the hell is January anyway?
Yeah. So long may that joy to you all.
Yeah. So with all that being said, gentlemen strangers. So this session represents an apology on my part. The British Museum is a treasured institution that happens to be about 3 streets away from the Gentlemen Strangers headquarters. It also happens to be the premier collection of Egyptological artifacts in the United Kingdom. As a result, the fact that it's taken me 1.5 seasons of this show to get round to robbing it, it feels negligent on my part, but I promise I'll compensate for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the armchair Egyptologist.
I'm really sorry. My armchair has to be now taken away from. I'm not allowed to sit in it for at least a month. I don't actually have an armchair. I mean, that's the biggest scandal about the armchair Egyptologist. Is I actually make most of my videos from an office chair, because an armchair is actually terrible for your back. So, you may recall last session. Not if you were hoping that the VODs would be uploaded in a timely fashion to YouTube, but if you showed up or managed to watch them on Twitch, that Mr. Leech and the rest of the Gentlemen Strangers were able to acquire a very strange chemical formula, the product of which was able to unlock a secret door hidden by one Dr. Henry Jekyll, whose name I'm not going to pronounce correctly. I'm going to say Jekyll like everyone else, but it's supposed to rhyme with treacle. Yeah, that's right. It's supposed to be Jekyll, but no one says that.
Oh, do you want to know another one that people get wrong? I mean, obviously people get wrong for imperialism reasons, but Mount Everest was named after the Englishman who measured it, whose name was George Everest.
It was Everest, that's true, yeah.
So it should be Mount Everest.
So I actually find it really funny that he's given his name to a mountain he did not in fact invent himself, but everyone's mispronouncing it. I do find that funny. And I think that in tribute to that, we should start calling them the Elgin marbles, just to demonstrate our sheer contempt for the Earl of Elgin. Elgin Marble, as they're called in the original Greek, I believe. I think in Greek they're called. Where the fuck did they go? Anyway.
And for more about this, see the latest video coming out at the end of the month from the Armchair Egyptologist.
That is actually true. But until that thrilling moment, you've got access to Dr. Jekyll's lab. You also discovered that Dr. Jekyll apparently bore a identical twin-like. I mean, does she know you can speak to Alexa in like a conversational volume? Alexa's not like Alexa's microphone is fine.
The funny
Anyway.
thing
Hard
about
of
our
hearing.
housemates is that we all speak to Alexa in very different ways, and you can always tell when Amy is speaking to Alexa because she's so polite.
Alexa, if you'd be so good, would you mind setting me a timer for 25 minutes? Thank you. And then Alexa will go 25-minute timer, and she'll go, thank you, Alexa. And I'm like,
Whereas she will
Alexa,
be
timer,
Spanish.
25 minutes. Alexa,
And
stop.
Rosa is like a grandmother. Alexa, please! I'm sorry! Help!
Rosa talks to Alexa like both she and Alexa are deaf cats meowing at each other. Anyway, so yes, you discovered that Dr. Jekyll was a gentleman stranger. You've discovered that he looks identical to the landlord of the Aventine, Mr. Hyde, and you have learnt, perhaps more shockingly still, that who was it you saw in the photo?
Mr. Spider
Yes.
and Mr. Slide.
Yes, Mr. Spider and Mr. Slide. And the date of the photograph was some years prior. I think I said 8 years. 8 years prior. So you saw them with Madame Whisper, who I now realise Mr. Lurk and Mr. Leech have never met. But Mr. Hound and Mr. Spider informed you that she was the founder of the Gentleman Strangers, almost certainly a vampire, and they murdered her. So there'll be no talking to her. Well, I don't know. There are presumably necromancers of some kind. Anyway, Mr. Leech, you've spent quite an amount of time poking through this laboratory. Dr. Jekyll was, as has been attested by others, a very gifted chemist. What he was not was a very gifted record keeper.
Oh.
And what I should say is he wrote down everything. He did not necessarily organize it in a way that was intended for anyone else to find easily. You have found quite a few notes in rough piles of semi-relatedness, but it's very clear that the part of the laboratory that's given over to office space is not very well organized. However, it may please Mr. Leech to know that the actual laboratory space is impeccable. All of the glassware is absolutely boiled clean. It's all laid out beautifully and in pretty good repair, given that the door has been locked for probably most of that 8 years since the photograph was taken. There aren't many pieces you need to replace. There are some pieces you're not sure what they are, but because you have your King Street crafts persons, you can probably get something made. In any case, something caught your eye because it's something you've been thinking about. Now your skiff needs repairing after the disastrous kidnapping of the disastrous rescue, I should say, of your new pharmacist friend on King Street. And you've been thinking yourself about how to possibly upgrade it. Is there a more efficient fuel than the foul petroleum you've been using? And you saw that Dr. Jekyll has also been musing. He actually thought there might be a way to create an electrical motor for the skiff. The problem is, he laments the fact that no one has come up with an efficient way of storing electricity, and generating electricity is just as loud as, pouring petrol into a tank. It's not really petrol. Calling it petrol is a bit grand, to be honest. But as you explored these notes, you found him fixating on something he referred to as the Karnak Formula, and you find a diary entry of his lamenting that he never got a close enough look at the Karnak Formula before this friend of his who had it gave it away. And he laments that although he has attempted to make contact with the various curators of the British Museum, though he's attempted to see it on display, it never has been. And he becomes obsessed with it. He becomes convinced. He stops talking about upgrading the engine of the skiff. And you can see where he's received letters from this friend of his, and Jekyll writes a diary entry saying that he is now convinced that if the Karnak Formula is everything it was described to be, it could, and I quote, fulfill my Promethean dream. He claims that it will revolutionize not only the generation of electricity, but also the storage and use of electricity.
How strange.
And one evening, the three of you and Amelia are gathered at the Millennium Club, and Amelia mentions offhand, this is some time after you quietly noted away that there's this ancient, bizarre formula locked away in the confines of the British Museum somewhere. Amelia mentions that the museum is holding a costume gala in a week's time to celebrate the opening of a new wing. And it's holding a costume gala for all of its donors. So you can imagine the sorts of higher up members of society that will be in attendance there. Mr. Leech gets this expression on his face, which no one can see because of the beak of his plague mask. But underneath is a kind of, I've thought of something naughty.
I'm creating a plan in my head. So is everyone there?
You're all there. So you may remember, a reminder for the audience as well, presently engaged in a literal gang war against McCreary.
Yep.
As a result, you have not really felt safe popping along casually to the Aventine. I'm not saying the Aventine's locked off to you. I mean, the Aventine itself is neutral turf, but at the moment, McCreary and his gang don't know that the Millennium Club is where you're based, so it would be unfortunate if they saw it. So, at the moment, you're confining yourself to the Millennium Club unless necessity should dictate, I assume. Yeah, Mr. Hound isn't around, but yeah, Amelia's here.
I just got shot inside, and I probably can't really go very far. What's this about a costume gala?
Oh, they're celebrating. They're celebrating the 5th anniversary of the opening of the White Wing, and I think it's a bit of a fundraiser for some new extension they're doing. They need to temporarily hold the contents of the British Library while it gets moved. Very, very ambitious, but yeah, it's a costume gala and all sorts of toffs in attendance actually.
Right. Well, in my lab, I've seen this thing about a Karnak Formula. I've been trying to sort of work out how to make the skiff a bit better after some unfortunate events. It's said to be the British Museum. Would anyone fancy dressing up a little bit and perhaps taking a little bit of a wander? I mean, we've been stuck in here for...
I have been looking for an excuse to wear this real nice coat that I bought a few weeks ago. Well, so costume, does that, so I know that over here y'all say fancy dress when you mean like costume and like, are we dressing up as like animals, or is it just like posh clothing? Like, what's the
well, I'm given to understand from the society pages that there are all sorts of rumors of elaborate historical costumes and all manner. I greatly imagine one will see a good number of Cleopatras and such.
ah?
Yes, it says costumed. It would simply say the manner of white or black tie.
Right.
But I would imagine that assuming one's, well, I'm assuming that if one were to wear a nice coat one's, for example, plague doctor mask might not look so terribly out of place at a such an event. Certainly, Mr. Spider, you would be rather understated, but an operatic mask, perhaps if you affected a cape, might work.
I'm certain I can pull something together. It does not necessarily have to be my usual attire.
And we all know Mr. Lurk is a clothes horse.
Yes.
That's true.
Mr. Spider looks
yeah.
off to one side. Mr. Slide would have loved this.
And of course, Mr. Hound could have gone as King Arthur.
Yeah.
So, well, the problem is, I don't think any of you are donors or trustees of the museum.
Would Mr. Lurk's boss, like his day job boss, would he have connections to this? Being a sort of member of the upper...
Actually, your fixer who gets you your work could well, because he arranges security for things. If someone goes, I suddenly need 20 bodies, broad-shouldered, tall bodies to guard a room, you're one of the broad-shouldered bodies who might be called upon. So it's conceivable that he might, at least he might know who's providing security.
Okay. I will share that information.
Yes, that's rather a good idea. Lurk, I don't suppose you have, Leech, sorry, I don't suppose you have thoughts?
Not many go through my brain at a time. What?
Thoughts specifically about this gala, Leech?
Hi. Right. Well, if we could somehow wrangle it so we're security, that will give us a reason to be around there. I just want to have a little look. Maybe take something that maybe could be studied a little bit more, and then I can put it back after a while, but we might have to wait for another costume gala. But this Karnak Formula, I need to get a good look at it.
Why?
Well, in the little records I found, mate you at the lab, he was really big on this formula. He thought it could revolutionize electrical motors and stuff like that. And I feel like if there's going to be something that revolutionizes something, it might be good that we have it first.
Potentially.
Because, we are in a bit of a war at the moment, and
yes,
don't particularly want to give them the upper hand.
I suppose we are in some sort of esoteric arms race.
Needs must and all that. So?
Very well. I suppose we divide and conquer. Tap our contacts and see if we can get invitations. But Lurk shall have to divide first, because I very quickly need to use the bathroom.
This is a classic. This is a classic heist where some of you are going as guests and some of you are going as the help. This is my favorite kind of... Mr. Leech should obviously go as like a cocktail waiter or something.
Obviously.
Just to complete the...
Making potions. That's such a good idea.
Oh no, God.
Yeah, certain people that would be
Yes.
Some people are going to be falling asleep unexpectedly, aren't they?
Oh dear! Everybody crowd around this person that's just unexpectedly fainted and maybe won't wake up from their coma that they've suddenly been induced in.
Oh Jesus! Oh no! I mean, look, yeah.
It's very hard to see
I mean,
in a mask.
yeah, we
when
do know of those flowers that can induce.
I just write to Mina Constantine and just go, you know those flowers, by any chance?
You know those ones that our friend just
do you talk out loud? Sort of speculating about, I could potentially, drug someone's drink or something. Because if you do, Amelia will lower her newspaper and say, there's almost certainly going to be a champagne fountain.
Yes.
Yes.
And you know the thing about champagne is, it's very easy to poison champagne.
Does it taste awful?
I mean, yeah. First of all, champagne is atrocious. But secondly,
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Secondly, the bubbles disguise quite a lot of tampering, and thirdly, the bubbles also make its chemical effects faster to uptake. So, so potentially, you could. Leech could definitely employ carbonation as a weapon. You could even but you could even devise an aerosolized poison that is distributed by the fizzing of the bubbles as the champagne bubbles up through the poison. You would just have to not be in the room, shortly after deploying it. But
that's fine. I've got a plague mask on.
You do. That's very true. You do. And Lurk and Spider can easily conceal under their cravats or what have you a mask to. Yeah, you could do that. No one could stop you.
No one can stop me.
And I actually think I might even encourage you.
This is what's happening now.
All right.
And Spider has absolutely no say because Spider's left the chat. So
there is another thing that's occurred to me, Mr. Leech.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that Dr. Jekyll says this item is in the museum.
Yes.
Does he happen to mention where?
I don't know. It might be worth a scout out.
I think I just heard a scream, but I don't know.
Oh, I think it was my computer. Sorry. Sometimes the fans get really excited and just whir for no reason.
I really did. I fine. It was, as long as it wasn't a man screaming. I don't know what I was going to do about it, but no one else seemed to mind, so it's fine. Was it me? Am I being haunted? Frequently the answer. No. Earlier on, I was being haunted by my own headphones, so it wouldn't shock me. Well, I know that we have a week. We've got to keep our heads down as long as McCreary's hunting for us.
Is he going to be in the British Museum, though?
No. But, although it is in the midst of his territory. No, I was only thinking, I'd thought of a couple of ways I might be able to help.
Oh.
Well, I don't think I'll be able to get much done, but I should be able to. I know people in the museum. I might be able to find out where it's being stored. I might even be able to find a way to get it moved. The storage areas are a bit of a maze, as I understand it, but scholars, academics, and so on make requests all the time for obscure pieces of papyrus and other literature to be moved to study rooms for a private reading session. Conceivably, I could arrange something like that. Or I could try another angle and see if I could get you on the invitations list, but I don't know if I'm well enough connected in that area.
Well, I think we have...
Do any of you know the Lord Chancellor? Do any of you know the Catholic Bishop of Westminster?
What did I miss?
Do any of you know a Lady Woodbridge? The funny thing is, Mr. Spider actually does know a Lady Woodbridge, but I think Izzy might have forgotten this fact.
I just got back. I've asked what I missed.
We're poisoning everybody using champagne.
No, that's not. Yeah, that is true. What Amelia is talking is, do any of you know? And she's naming some people who've been mentioned in the society pages as being on the guest list.
I know a Lady Woodbridge from places.
Well, Lady Woodbridge, as the audience knows very well, is of course the patroness of the Adonium Theatre and the chairman of its board.
Oh, so
You may not want to approach her. I'm just offering you a potential inroad, but there are many. You don't have time to take them all, so you can afford to be selective.
But no, the problem is that I don't know her, but Mr. Slide knew her.
True, but she's met you.
Yes.
No, I'm not saying it'll be easy, and I'm not saying it's necessary. I'm just putting it on the plate, like a garnish, a little unnecessary sprig of parsley. Does everyone remember when sprigs of parsley were a thing that used to show up on a plate of food, and people would be like, "I don't know what to do with this."
Yeah, I would just eat it.
I'm
not one of the weak ones who thinks that it tastes gross.
Well, I am. I am, and also I don't think you should put anything on a plate that humans aren't meant to eat.
Humans can eat parsley.
Humans can eat parsley.
I think mostly animals, mostly rabbits, and like posh chefs, they love parsley. They're like, I'm gonna put a parsley in it, but they're
All right, so which one am I?
A posh rabbit.
Yes.
I'll
Chef.
take that.
A rabbit chef.
Right, there we go. There's that.
That's why they have such tall hats.
That's why they have tall hats, to keep their ears safe from all the sputtering oil and whatnot.
Yeah. See, so we started this conversation outraged and has now become delighted.
There we go. So what Amelia had offered for Mr. Spider's benefit was essentially either she can try to arrange to have the manuscript some combination of located or even temporarily moved. She thinks she can have it moved to a study area rather than the storage area, or she can try to get you on the invitation list, or you can try another avenue such as schmoozing with someone who's already on the invitation list, or you might come up with something I haven't thought of. Zoe's already come up with something I haven't thought of, which is really embarrassing.
Yeah. I feel like...
No, not embarrassing because it's you. Embarrassing because I know what job Mr. Lurk does by day, and I should have gone, yeah, security guard. Obviously, this event, you know.
Lurk might be the best way to get in, honestly. If you say, I have 2 other people that are competent, that can do security, and then I just change into a bartender.
Yeah.
Uniform.
I mean,
listen. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say this is how National Treasure works. He goes in as a maintenance guy, but
that's true.
That's my blueprint for this.
They all get high-vis jackets.
Everyone should be disguised as plumbers at some point during this. Yes. I'm going to point something out, and it's not intended to be rude, Ash. You know you're a woman, right?
I'm painfully aware.
Ashley.
Just sit you down. This is an intervention.
I've had enough of this.
About what?
You being a woman has affected me in the following ways.
Yeah, me and Zoe are like, Ash, it's got to stop.
It really has. So I don't know what we're doing. What ideology are we serving here? So it's just, we're gonna trans you, Ash, and that's what's gonna happen. Yeah. You ready? Wildly off course. The point I was making was I'm making one point and then a supplementary point. The first point is they're not going to have a lady bartender. But my secondary point is look, you don't have to do this. But if you wanted to be a working class woman pretending to be an upper class woman at a swanky, could you just ask her not to shout at Alexa? Like, it's really unnecessary, and we're right here. Look, you don't have to do that, but if you ever wanted to be a working class woman, pretending to be a posh woman at a fancy event, you know, you could do that. Or you could decide.
Then I'd have to wangle myself a date.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't want to go unchaperoned.
We can't.
No, of course not. No. People would ask all sorts of
What's
questions.
this woman.
Okay. Well, it sounds like the first solid lead we've got is Mr. Lurk, investigating the question of getting himself onto the security detail, or at least finding out more about the security detail.
Yeah.
Yes.
So James Sullivan.
Mhm.
What did we call your guy?
I don't remember. I was looking back through my notes and I couldn't find it.
That's okay. Well, we can name him. We can name him now.
It's somewhere. I know, like, it's there. I just don't know.
Well, for sure and certain, his first name is
Mr. Marley is my employer.
Marley. Fantastic.
Yes.
Perfect. Well done. Great. Very Victorian name. So no one's been called Marley since the 19th century, obviously.
Yep.
His name's not Ben or Marley, Photo Potato, and I will ban you. Photo Potato is teasing me because whenever I'm running like a fantasy game and I can't think of a man's name, they're always called Ben or. I don't know why. A really, really insignificant NPC from Skyrim. He's very angry at me now because I called Ben or insignificant. So you
the
go.
alarm's gone.
You go to see. It's an air raid siren. You go to see Mr. Marley.
Yes.
He gives you your work assignment for the next couple of days. Nothing particularly interesting. You were slanging around?
Yeah, I was just
She
I
set
don't
off
even
the
know how
smoke
to
alarm.
I don't know how to so Lurk, because Zoe doesn't know how to do this shit. So Mr. Lurk is going to gently probe and try and be as like conversational as he can be. Like, oh, just having a friendly chat with my employer and just see if he knows about this gala. Like, that's the first question, is like, is he even aware that this is a thing?
Oh yeah. I'm actually I'm putting together a team for it. You wouldn't be interested in that, would you? It's a bit standing still all day.
I mean, I've recently gotten, sort of an appreciation for the arts, and so I think that anything that can protect, the great works of this nation.
Well, then why are you going to the British Museum? National Gallery is more your cup of tea, mate.
Well, it's more of like a representation of, the strength and, supremacy of this culture. It's a real.
Someone clip that. Someone clip that. We can use this against her.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I see. You're talking about the intrinsic Christian superiority of the Anglo-Saxon race. No, I understand completely. I hear you. No. Under no circumstances. All right. Okay. Well, it's good to know you've naturalized into a real patriot. That's fantastic. I can get you on the detail. I've got 2 shifts going. I've got afternoon into the evening when they're setting up, and then evening to late for the actual gala. What's best for you, anyway?
What is best for us? Probably the actual gala event, I assume, is what would be best.
I would
for
say
us. So. Yes, then I will. Yeah. I think the actual gala itself, because then, if I'm seen as a, doing this kind of work for these people, might be able to get me in with some of their work, climb the ladder, so to speak, if they see that I do good work at this kind of highfalutin party.
Well, yeah. Well, I can get you down for that. It's pays at the normal rate. Actually, they've been a bit cheap with me, to be honest. Given that what they're celebrating is successfully raising an enormous amount of money.
Yeah.
You're going to be wandering a lot of dark hallways, making sure none of the guests go pinching.
I will make sure that I keep an eye on them.
All right. Well, it's next week, next Saturday. Be there for 6, and you're reporting to a Stanley Johnson. He's in charge on the floor. I'll tell him you know what you're doing, but he'll give you exactly your quadrant, as he likes to call it.
All right.
All
right. Thanks for getting this set up.
I really thought you wouldn't be interested. Otherwise, I'd have offered it to you last week.
All right. Evening.
Good luck to you.
I don't know why he does a salute. He tips his hat. That's what he does.
Tug at the forelock for your British masters. Perfect. Yes. A strange turn has been taken. Okay, Mr. Spider.
I don't know if you got my message. Before I went to ensure that all was good in the hood.
Did I hear the smoke alarm by any chance?
Yes, but it's fine. As you can see.
I can smell burnt onions. Was it onions?
No, it's just, you know how the oven sometimes, when you open it, can produce a lot of steam.
Anyway, no. So you want to know if any of your family?
Yeah, I've also I've pinned both of my I've pinned both of my family documents so that you can
I guess Jacob might have done.
Yeah, I figured Jacob might have done. He's my older brother, works for the Home Office.
He's a bit of a social climber, would you say?
Yeah.
And he is actually a member of Parliament, isn't he? So he's not just a random civil servant. Yeah. Well, I'm going to roll for it. I'm not going to decide this. I'm going to just roll a fortune die. Fortune die tells me that he is not, in fact, a donor.
How dare you, fortune die? You've let me down.
He's not a donor, he's a donut.
How dare you, Mr.
You, you got him. You got him, Ash. Yeah. I'm afraid no family connection to the event.
I'm such an idiot. I'm looking at this list, and I saw middle child, civil servant attached to the Home Office. I'm like, who's that? Me.
Can I ask what you've collectively assigned Amelia to do, if anything?
Oh, God. Probably move that thing, right? Get it moved to somewhere easier to pick out, because the last thing we want to do is be running through all the storage spaces.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah, if she can get it moved to a place that we know it will be, that'll be good.
Okay. She comes to you in the Millennium Club a couple of days later. And she says, I've made contact with one of the museum porters, the people in charge of making sure everything's moved around where it should be, fairly obviously. And he seems willing to undertake this task, but he wants to speak with one of you directly, and I'm fairly confident he's going to require a bribe of some kind. That is assuming you don't want this on the books.
Do we have money for a bribe?
We do not.
He's a porter of the British Museum. He might want a coin, maybe two. But I can't imagine he's going to extort you for much. Otherwise, you won't bother. I can tell him no, and we can find another way.
If you have the money, Mr. Leech.
I don't have any money. Leech is quite literally a leeching of society.
I believe there's 2 coin in the crew coffers.
It's not really up to me, is it? It's up to everyone.
It is. This is your mission. And if this will somehow lead to our boat being repaired in better order, it will save us money down the line.
He's got a point.
I can try and lean on him a little bit. But I can't see what intimidation will do. He simply seems to be hard up and in a small amount of debt.
No, of course. Of course.
Okay. I think, yeah, this is probably going to benefit us in the long run. So, a couple of coiners, or a coin, is not... I can, yeah. See if he needs medical care or something. I can help
Give me 1. I'll talk him down to it.
Okay.
I'll tell him he doesn't need to meet you. Frankly, I don't think it's worth it if you're trying to keep a low profile.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm fairly confident McCreary's people are watching Aventine.
Well, okay, if he doesn't... If he's being particularly hard to sway with 1 coin, offer him something of some sort of drug or something like that.
No, let's just keep things, keep things flat.
Not generally my business to try to introduce more opium addicts to the streets of London, Mr. Leech.
Yes, one coin, and it's a one and done.
Okay, fine, 1 coin.
Very well. I'll I know where the lockbox is. I shall let you know what I find.
Thank you, Amelia.
I'm going to roll some dice for Amelia. Amelia is +1. You're actually tier 0 at the moment functionally because of the gang war, but she is your tier +1 and she gets a bonus die when rolling as a spy.
We did also get a minor help.
You did get a minor help, so I will add a third die. No notes. A 5. Excellent. Wow, I'm really glad you got that minor help from a Hyperion because that was a 1 and a 2. Okay, so success. Yep, Amelia reports the next day. She paid the guy off with 1 coin. Now, here's what you need to know. The porter's shifts overlap with the gala only by an hour. By the end of the porter's shifts, all documents in reading rooms have to be cleared, which means there is a 1-hour window between the start of the gala and the manuscript you're looking for being returned to the storage room. That's the best he can do.
Okay.
An hour should be enough, correct, Mr. Leech?
More than enough.
He did warn that there would be stepped up security, but I think we already knew that from Mr. Lurk.
Security.
Security should not, however, be going into the study rooms. It should pretty much be the corridors. So, in theory, if you don't attract attention and perhaps have a lookout, you might be able to get away with this.
Are we also part of the security, or is it just Lurk? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just me.
Yes.
Marley, it is possible that Mr. Lurk might be able to talk Marley into letting someone he hasn't personally vetted do something as high profile as this. It's certainly not impossible, but it would be a challenge.
Mr. Spider will glance at himself and glance at Mr. Leech and then say, "Well, I wouldn't hire us to be security."
Oh no.
Yeah, I didn't want to push it with him, so
No.
Yeah.
Now, this porter I spoke to seemed to be of the understanding that a venture of a criminal nature was occurring. He has anticipated that he should not expect to be able to successfully return the papyrus to its place of storage, which is why he's going to move it there off the books. However, he did caution me that it is incredibly fragile. It's not going to be something you can fold up and stick in your jacket pocket. You might have to find a way to deposit a briefcase or such nearby. Anything a guest brings in with them, such as a coat or a case or a hat, is going to be taken upon arrival. So you might want to think about another way to get a briefcase nearby. I'll leave that with you.
I think I can probably handle that.
It's like that bit in The Godfather where the guy smuggles a gun in, only it's just a briefcase.
Yeah.
So we'll tape a briefcase behind the loo.
Behind the loo. And actually, a briefcase is harder to smuggle in than a gun.
It's true.
Yeah.
And then we shoot the papyrus.
Releasing the spirit of the angry pharaoh who wrote it.
Yes. It's all coming together.
So how are we gonna get in?
I have one more avenue to check before I am quite tapped out.
You got a couple. You did have one.
Yeah, as in I sent you another message.
Oh, did you? My goodness.
I just wasn't sure.
Well, I can't do a roll for every individual family member.
Look, I have a lot of family.
I know, but they're not resources that you have.
No, I know.
I think I was rolling for do you have a family connection?
Sorry, chaps. I've been up and down this session. I'm just gonna look at Ash. What are we doing?
I would think if either one of us could get an invite, we can go in as person and +1 date, but that's how we get an invite. But I don't have any connections, I don't think.
Nah. I don't. Which is a valley shame.
Is it so security? Like, I would not necessarily be the person like checking people's invitations to let them in, right? Like, that's a separate
Yeah, that
job.
would be handled by the museum staff probably.
Because I was gonna say, like, I could, take an invitation or something like off the top and give it to you guys, but
However, you do have a potential role in getting them in as guests, which is that once they're past the front doors, no one's going to be asking for their invitation again. So if they got in another way, no one's going. Once they're in and they're in the appropriate attire, no one's going to go, "Who the bloody hell are you?" Are they? They're going to go, "Well, of course they're here. They must be here by invitation. Everyone here is by invitation." So it's possible you could do it as a security guard in another way, or they could try the old bop someone on the head, take their invitation, and pretend to be them, which I know Mr. Slide would suggest if he were still alive to suggest things. But of course, you got him murdered, didn't you? So he can't.
Yes, but also you would have an invitation by now.
Oh, but he probably could wangle an invitation in he could probably go as Lady Woodbridge's +1. She's always wanted a +1, Mr. Slide.
Oh, who hasn't?
It's true. It's true. Hyperion's got the correct answer. Infiltrate by hiding in a shipment of new sarcophagi. You pretend to be mummies, and you get yourselves wheeled. Yeah, there's a shipment of Valley of the King's mummies arriving tomorrow. Why? All we have to do.
Let me potentially go and speak to Lady Woodbridge.
I mean, do you want, like, I feel like Lurk would probably also be checking out the area to see, like, are there back doors? Like, is there a specific security entrance? Because that's also a possibility that I could, like, smuggle people in the back.
I'm glad you asked. Because I have a plan of the British Museum in front of me.
Yeah, anyone's going to think he is actually planning a heist.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot of floor plans of the British Museum open in my browser right now. And Right, so... the answer is it's a very large building and there are an enormous number of entrances. The guests, the diagram that I have shared with you, I love Ash's reaction. The diagram that I have that I have shared with you here, you will be going in on the right hand side where the main entrance hall is in, and the gala itself will be happening in the large reading room.
Okay.
In the center, you are going to have the manuscript is going to be diverted into the manuscripts room, which you should see just above the main entrance there. And there are numerous official residences. Official residence literally means the curator gets a house as part of being the curator of the museum. And various other offices of the museum also have on-site residences. Not always the swanky ones. One of the set of residences, for example, for the head groundskeeper and the head of the custodial staff and the head of the preservation staff and so on. The sorts of people who sort of might need to be on site and for whom a perk of the job isn't inappropriate. But as you can see from this plan, there are quite a few ways in. And I'm also perfectly happy to manufacture ways in. This plan does not have to be entirely canonical. Essentially, if you decide the way you want to go is Mr. Lurk opens you a side door, then whether or not you get the right side door and manage to open it in a successfully stealthy manner will be covered by your engagement roll. So if that's the plan you want to go with, I'll just abstract it out and we'll just assume you succeeded. The only question I will ask is, roughly whereabouts on this plan will you enter? I think I know the answer to that question, but I will ask it if that's the plan that you want to go for.
Probably by the manuscript room.
I will accept that answer and I will be... Yeah, I'll accept that answer and I will take that into account when I give you the answer. Yes. The manuscript room is on fire.
I don't want to just answer for everyone. But...
This is your high skill chat.
Yeah. It's probably better. Yeah, probably better to be near where we actually need to go.
So, there is an entrance which leads from the garden of the northeast official residences, that leads up into the hallway right outside the manuscript rooms and the various studies and so forth. That might be the one you want to go for. Or you might want to go for something a little further away, but more subtle, because bearing in mind that it will be lit.
Yeah, that was sort of my concern with the, like, entering near the manuscript room, is that it's, like, right near the front.
Okay,
yeah.
So
What you...
Sorry, carry on.
No. I was going to say, but basically your options are close, but more obvious. Plus, it is also street facing. That entrance is also street facing. Or you could go a little further away. If you look just under where the scale is on the diagram, there is an entrance that goes ultimately into the King's Library. Now, that is one of the hallways that Lurk and his colleagues will be guarding. But if Lurk's with you, I guess maybe that wouldn't be as much of a problem. You're two guests who got lost, you know. I mean, if you're without Lurk, it's a problem. You know.
So if we went in through that back entrance near towards the King's Library, and then you just escort us back to the reading room, which is actually the manuscript room. Okay, that sounds doable.
Well, so do you want... Like, am I escorting you Because I think that would look suspicious because you can get from the King's Library to the reading room immediately. Like that's what that little hallway is right at the top of the reading room, right? So I think if we like walked past that, that would be suspicious. So I guess, and my like bigger question is, am I going to be part of the actual like acquisition of the manuscript, or am I just like sort of keeping, am I just sort of the you know, watch like guard of the situation, and you guys can just handle getting it however you want to do that?
So here's my thing. Okay, you let us in. I don't know how we're gonna get this briefcase in.
I can get it. I'll bring it in when I come set up to do my security guard stuff. Okay. It's full of my other clothes.
Cool. Your entire haberdashery stuff.
Yeah, it's a hat box.
Yeah, sure. So if you let us in and you guide us back to the reading room, then somehow we cause a scene in said raid. Like something, like we put something in the champagne float. It's only a little something, or in someone's something, that causes people
Will you please stop trying to poison high society?
Not poison.
I'm not poisoning them. I'm just, making them cough a little bit,
and she's making it a little bit stronger so they just get sleepy faster.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll cause someone to faint or something, and then everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on over there?" And we'll be like, "Definitely not us running to the manuscript room." And then we can go to the manuscript room. Like, then when people are distracted, we go back through the King's Library to the manuscript room. Get the manuscript. Peace out.
Is the manuscript room going to be locked? No, right? Because they're like setting it out for us.
Yeah, you have that hour window is when Now,
so basically, we got to get in, and then when that hour window starts, or are we going to be in? Does the hour window start as soon as we step into the building? Like,
yes. Well, that's when I'm going to start the clock. The hour is irrelevant, but that is when I'm going to start the clock.
Okay.
But an hour is a long time. It should be fine.
An hour is a long time. Your engagement roll might add segments to the clock, however.
Okay. So, plan. You get us in through the back entrance. And then lead us to the reading room. We'll make a distraction in the reading room. And then we can go to the manuscript room, get the manuscript, put the manuscript in the briefcase somewhere, because we don't want to have the briefcase when we leave, because that's going to be sus.
I can guide you to the briefcase, or like tell you where it is once I have brought it and set it, because I'm sure like the security is going to have a place for like their personal items. And so I can show you where that is, and you can slip it in there, and then I can just take it when I leave.
If something goes missing, they will almost certainly check your bags on the way out.
They won't know that it's missing.
In theory, they're not supposed to know anything's gone missing at all. They'll find out the next time someone goes to look it up.
Yeah.
Which is going to be, weeks, if not longer.
Sure.
Like it's
yeah.
But we don't want it on us, in case they do like a random check or something, or when we're leaving. Because we don't. If we turn up and then leave with a briefcase, they're gonna be like, "What? How did what?"
No, if you go up to the front desk and go, "My coat and case, please," and they go, "I'm do you have a ticket? I don't need a ticket. Give me my case. It's that one over there." They're not gonna. You're posh. They're more likely to challenge Lurk than they are Leech, but they're not likely to challenge Lurk in the first place because again, nothing's gone missing.
Okay, are we good with that?
This is first of all, this is absolutely my jam, planning a heist. I should point out, in the interests of preserving the integrity of John Harper's wonderful system, Blades in the Dark, this is far too much planning. But I personally love this. If I didn't want this level of planning, I wouldn't have downloaded a plan of the ground floor of the British Museum.
It's helpful to see where we're going.
I mean, look,
but also, like, shit might hit the fan, and we have to throw the plan out the window anyway. So
absolutely. Oh, I certainly think so.
oh no.
So
lasers. Suddenly, lasers come out of this wall.
I said it would revolutionize the way electricity was used, didn't I? Now, it sounds to me like there are at least 2 setup actions that you're looking to perform.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is actually weird because. Okay, one of them is straightforward. One of them is Mr. Leech. You're going to make some sort of enhanced drunkenness liquid.
I don't know. Yeah. It'll probably be something like that, or something that would, or induce fainting, or something like that.
That's fine. I should remind everyone. I know that Ash has already pointed out. Mr. Leech is still gutshot. The wound has not at all healed.
Yeah.
So Mr. Leech is in quite a lot of pain and certainly isn't going to be.
Thankfully, he has a lot of chemicals to just.
Oh yes, I mean I'm if you want to spend a setup action brewing yourself some sort of anesthetic.
Yeah, some sort of painkiller would be.
You can do that. Now normally
plus I imagine the plan will likely go that he does the distraction action, but doesn't do any of the heisting, if only because it's easier to.
But now, when you roll dice, Ash, you have a -2 die penalty. I think it's -2.
-2, I think it's.
You have a -2 die penalty. You can.
I think it's 1, isn't it?
I think it's 1. I don't think it's -2. That would be literally obscene.
It's -1. It's 1. It says on the thing.
You lose a die, but you can push yourself. Spend stress to push yourself to ignore that penalty. If you want to brew some quick and dirty anesthetics, so you don't have to push yourself. You can do that. You can have that on you, but it might have other consequences. Quickly chugging a high strength anesthetic. So
I'm the party's recreational drug user, and I'm worried about you, Leech.
It certainly might have problems down the line, but that's up to you to decide. If you want to do that, you can do that. Mr. Lurk, the briefcase sounds like something you're going to just bring in with you.
I think some sort of, if not a briefcase, then either like a hat box or something that I can bring another set of clothes in. And if someone questions me, it's going to be because I don't want to walk home in this outfit.
Well,
then I'll get mugged.
Well, you need something. You need something that's going to keep the document flat.
Oh, a hard shell case with where we can slip the document into the lining.
With a little folder in it. Yeah.
Oh, slipping it into the lining of the case. That's very old school. I mean, we like that.
It's good.
Okay, so you're going to somehow get the case sort of hidden away in the reading room for them to find. Is that there? Then you'll collect it later.
I don't know that I want it to be in the reading room.
No, I wouldn't do it in the reading room.
Yeah, like, so if the personal effects of the security guards, is there a place where they are keeping those things?
Very possible.
If that is a thing that even exists.
I think they're going to want to put you in museum overcoats. So there'll certainly be a place for you to hang your actual coats and so forth. Yeah, and everyone wears hats, so there'll have to be a cloakroom of some kind. Yeah.
Okay. Then I will put it in there. Okay. And I guess just hope that nobody accidentally takes my bag instead of, their own stuff.
Understood. So Ash.
Massive, like.
Do not steal.
Ash, are you
Hello.
brewing chemicals?
Oh. I feel like
Ash, are you on the drugs?
here's the thing. I don't want to be walking around like I'm some sort of like I'm crippled by something, because that's going to be a little bit suspicious. But
So you're
depends.
thinking dosing yourself might be the best way to mask the fact that you
But
are quite seriously injured.
It does depend also on how femme, you know, if you're going to come in as a lady, as a delicate lady,
I feel
because you
like
can at least be like, I'm feeling a little faint, and no one's going to be like, that's
true.
suspicious.
Back in then, women were just hysterical. So it's just be
I mean,
hysterical.
if anyone sees you being weird, they'll just assume that it's a uterine disorder of some kind and
it
forgive you for it. On the other
the
hand,
males.
a properly attired corset might hold your guts in from constantly bleeding all over the place. So
I'm
You
sure
know what?
they have
Get yourself some proper whalebone. It'll hold your guts in.
Yay! Your intestines not going to fall out today.
that, generally speaking, people don't want that. I feel like we're talking like you're bleeding to death, but it's really just that the internal injuries simply have not healed.
Okay, well, yes, okay.
It's
I think
terrible.
we'll be fine. I won't
No.
chemical myself up to high heaven.
Okay. So, Mr. Lurk. Normally I would ask the question, what's everyone's load? But I will point out, while Mr. Lurk might be able to get away with normal load, but bearing in mind that he's going to be put in a British Museum overcoat, which will conceal many sins, I think the two of you going in as guests are probably restricted to light load. That's probably fine though, bearing in mind you do get a +2 to any load anyway, and you're not planning on making off with. I mean, you can actually, to be clear, you can make off with any exhibits you want to make off with. I'm not going to stop you from making off with anything you want to make off with, just to be absolutely clear. So you're not going to brew any chemicals for your own personal use? Are you going to brew any chemicals for the champagne fountain?
Yes, I'm going to, something that will either induce drunkenness at a higher level, or just something to make someone faint, or a few people, or just one person even, really.
All right, well, in which case, because you have the laboratory, remember you get a +1 die to chemical crafting from it. So I think it's a tinker we normally do, isn't it, for chemicals?
I would say so.
And you have fine tinkering tools, which I think is increased effect.
Oh God, right, okay. So, tinker, what are we doing this at?
Tinker, you get a bonus die from the lab, and you get greater effect.
12, yeah?
Yep.
Great effect. Do I have to take one off though, because I'm...
Unless you want to spend stress. You can spend stress to negate that penalty.
No, so I'll just not have a bonus die then, because...
There,
Right,
yep.
cool.
A 6! Fantastic!
Hell yeah.
So yeah, you have successfully brewed Leech's patented fainting potion.
Just loads of cocaine.
I don't believe that would do I don't believe it would do that job.
No, it wouldn't. Just die as a plan.
But you've brewed some kind of codeine-like substance to get everyone a bit sort of sleepy, and perhaps you've put in a little bit of something to enhance the natural effects of the alcohol on the human body. Perhaps there'll be some raucous behavior to serve as a distraction. Perhaps one or two people will feel a bit warm and perhaps faint. I mean, certainly codeine and morphine both have the effect of making people feel warm, so it's possible you might have some fainting. Okay, so it sounds like it's time for an engagement roll. We love the engagement roll, don't we? Okay, engagement roll. So you get 1 for showing up. Did any of your contacts help you out? Well, yes, actually. Mr. Marley helped you out. Mr. Marley has helped get one of you to the door. Are you exploiting a weakness of your target? I guess you are exploiting the weakness that the British Museum is almost entirely made of doors. So I'll give you that. It is a higher tier than you, so that knocks you back down one. You do have a minor help from... Minor help's too weak to affect an engagement roll. I'll keep that for something else. Anything else I can think of? No one's directly working against you. Oh yes, they are. Yeah, you do actually have someone working against you. We'll talk about that.
Will we?
So I think that's one engagement die after all that.
Does Amelia's help also help?
Yeah.
Amelia's help absolutely helps. You're right. That's I'll give you another one. So I think we're up to 2. Well spotted. Tried to get you, but you got me. Okay, I think 2 engagement dice. What did I roll? I rolled a 4.
It's not the worst.
It's not. It is success at a cost. So let's talk about what that looks like. You, having scouted the region, you know what door you're going to use. You're reasonably confident, having been told what your patrol route, your quadrant, is going to be. You know where you're gonna be expected to be seen, you know. But the building is a maze, so you know, you being a little bit off the beaten path isn't the worst thing in the world, or at least it's not the most inexplicable thing in all the world. It's a little bit harder for these non-scouts to find. So there are going to be 2 clocks running in parallel. One of them is papyrus removed from study. You know about that one. That's easy peasy, 4-segment clock. Though I am actually going to put a segment on it because of the time that it took to actually get them to the door. There is a 6-segment clock. They've taken the papyrus because you are not actually the only people who have come to the museum to take the Karnak Formula, to take the opportunity of this public gala, of this private gala where members of the public won't be around. And there's a great deal of distraction. Who are they? It doesn't matter. What matters is that when that clock fills, actually, every time your clock fills, their clock fills. So technically speaking, there's a segment on both clocks. When the 6-segment clock fills, the papyrus will no longer be somewhere you can easily access it, but I will qualify straight away. That doesn't mean the heist is over. It means that the papyrus, rather than being in a place, will be on someone's person. If you can work out who that is and get it from them, you will still have succeeded at the heist, albeit less directly than might have been hoped. So, Mr. Leech, Mr. Spider, have you dressed yourself roughly as you dress in your Gentleman Stranger's attire? Oh, actually, Mr. Leech, you can't have done. I suppose you could have worn a grotesque plague mask. There's nothing wrong with you going in a dress, but wearing a grotesque... Although, funnily enough, if you do this will be the first time anyone in the Gentleman Strangers will realise that there is actually a woman underneath that.
I was just about to say, yeah.
You're outing yourself. Or, alternatively, you could put yourself in white tie. I won't... If you want to maintain the guise that Mr. Leech is masculine or gender neutral, I'm not going to put anything in your way. If you want to show up as a bloke, the disguise works perfectly, as previously discussed. Plus, come on, white tie, evening jacket, plague mask. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, but corset hold me together.
Well, you can still wear a corset underneath. It won't be providing much structural support, but if it's there to kind of provide pressure on your wound, you can still
It's
do
it's
that.
just Victorian Spanx. You can wear them under
Yeah,
everything.
girdles exist.
I
Okay,
actually
yeah,
think
okay.
there were. I'm going to be told off by my best friend, but I think there were corsets that certain men wore. Similar.
It's absolutely certain that such things existed. For one thing, a suit was very expensive, and while it was never going to change size, your body might. So it was much easier for you to purchase something that sort of controls the shape of your body than it is to get a suit retailored. So certainly these things did exist.
I'm being told male corsets were 100% a thing.
Now, I know what you mean by your best friend, but for a moment I thought you were going to say, your best friend, Bernadette Banner, was going to just get in the chat and be all, no. That's my impression of Bernadette Banner. Did everyone enjoy that?
I liked it. It was great. And I love you calling out Bernadette in the chat. Love you, Bernadette.
We love you, Bernadette. We think you're right. Okay. So brilliant. You've gone in your you've still got this horrible horror mask on, but this wonderful you've got white tie and you look great.
I've also had to like thoroughly dry this mask because I did fall in the canal. So
oh yeah, I mean it's a leather mask that's gone into London Canal water, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it probably smells pretty bad.
That's been what she was doing, not brewing herself a painkiller, but like drying the mask.
Bring yourself a pessary for the inside of the mask, so you're breathing in cinnamon and orange peel.
My favourite thing, by the way, is that Mr. Spider, Nathaniel Breaker, this character is, he's the spider, he's the planner, he's incredibly perceptive, he's incredibly intelligent, but the one thing he cannot do, because you two don't remember when Mr. Oh God, what's the thing? Mr. Fightsman.
Cutter.
Mr. Cutter was also a woman who was sort of in disguise. Mr. Spider, zero idea. Absolutely no idea. So I love the idea that Mr. Leech was like, oh, Mr. Spider, for this thing, because I'm obviously a working class blokerino. I don't suppose you've got, a white tie or a jacket you can lend me. And Mr. Spider's like, absolutely, old chap. I'll bring you a jacket that you can borrow.
You have something perhaps from a few years ago, because obviously Mr. Leech is quite a slight figure compared to Mr. Spider's a fairly slight figure. Mr. Leech is also much shorter.
Yeah, but he's got something. It's like, absolutely, old chap. I've got something I can lend you. And wonder if he'd shown up in a dress, Mr. Spider would have been like, by God, a woman.
Yeah. I absolutely loved Mr. Cutter's design with the turban, and the whole look was absolutely fantastic.
Teenage boy in The Gentleman Strangers. And Slide knew. Slide was like, yes, of course, a woman, that's fine, I won't tell anyone. But Mr. Spider was like, huh? Women? Not a thing.
Are you implying that Mr. Slide is enough of a sleaze that he can just detect Crumpet?
No, Mr. Slide was a pure bisexual ally, and we all knew it.
I'm not going to explain myself. It does just mean a woman, though. It's not as unpleasant as you might have inferred that it means.
Aren't crumpets like cookies though, or like little like pastries?
They're bread.
No.
It's bread that you fry in a griddle pan, and it forms little bubbles, and you melt butter, and it's the most divine thing anyone's ever invented.
Like French toast?
No, do you not have crumpets?
They don't have
They've
crumpets.
got
really.
holes in them.
Yeah.
Like waffles? What?
No. It's bread. It's literally bread dough, but you.
Jesus.
Oh, like English muffins.
No. They're made of. They're bread. It's bread, but you cook it in a pan, and because it's very liquid, as you cook it, the bubbles of carbon dioxide set. So you get.
I see.
And then
really good.
You toast them and you put butter on them, and it's God's truest breakfast food.
Like
when they
sit between an English muffin and a pancake is what this says.
I mean, in that they are cooked in the pan. Actually, they do have a consistency quite like a pancake when they're raw. They're delicious, and in any case, when the Bible refers to manna from heaven, it's almost certainly referring to a hot buttered crumpet. But crumpet does also refer to a handsome woman one would like to get to know. A nice bit of crumpet, like you say.
Feels demeaning.
Oh, Of course it's demeaning. It's a horrible thing. You can't refer to women as food.
I wasn't sure if you were saying it ironically or if it was like genuinely. Like, that's just a term that we use.
I said,
for
no.
women.
I suggested that Mr. Slide would say it in his capacity as a giant sleaze. Nice bit of crumpet. Okay. Yeah, no, you certainly shouldn't refer to people as food objects. But he might.
Unless it's honey. Honey is nice.
Yeah, but you wouldn't call someone a nice pot of honey. That's different. Well, you might.
A lovely jar of jam.
Yeah, like if you suddenly went, "Oh, that's a lovely jar of jam," like.
Well, if you say anything in that voice, it's gonna sound gross.
Zoe, I think well of you as a creator.
You make really thoughtful content. Yeah, no, you're right. Actually, yeah, no.
Oh.
Zoe receiving the most neutral compliment it's possible to receive. Okay. So, engagement roll rolled is a great time to take a few minutes. What is it now? It's 23 past. So we're going to say we'll be back at 30. We absolutely won't be. No, it's 30. That's not long. We'll be back sort of 20 to the hour. Yeah. So everyone refresh yourselves. What was the unpleasant thing with? Oh yeah, guzzle them if you got them. And we'll see you in a little bit. Yeah. Right, we're returned. I did it without a countdown, and Izzy wasn't in the middle of saying something
horrific,
deeply problematic.
Penises.
Oh,
That's problematic?
It's problematic to just say apropos of nothing.
is it? No,
All right then, it isn't. Penises. Hurrah!
Okay, well, great. So, It's really distracted me. That's just,
just gone.
that has actually thrown me off quite badly.
There we go. It's problematic or it isn't.
Yeah. Okay. You rolled. You did fairly well on your engagement roll. It took a little bit longer. Lurk, you find yourself waiting outside this door, kind of furtively, hoping no security guard comes by. What are you doing here? And it does take them a little bit to give what I assume is some kind of prearranged secret knock, because why wouldn't it be at this point?
Yeah.
And you let them into the fairly dark, cold marble hallway.
All right. And I say loudly, all right, let's get you guys back to the party now. Try not to wander off next time.
Oh, thanks.
And I lead them back.
You lead them back.
And
you're leading them in, are you leading them into the party?
That was the plan, yes.
Fantastic. You bring them back into the reading room. You can hear there's presumably a string quartet playing that you can hear echoing through the tall stone hallways as you approach. It seems to be a fairly vibrant party for this kind of affair. It is that it's not unheard of to have a cocktail party in this particular era, but this is definitely avant-garde. But the whole point is, look how modern this building is, look how sort of swanky it is. So they're all here going, well, we are bright young things. We are, supporting the arts. And what was it Zoe said? The supremacy?
The supremacy of British culture. Yes, we've obviously.
Culture. Yeah, obviously.
Draped Egyptian artifacts.
Draped in British culture. Actually, at the moment, in this particular part of the museum, you are fairly draped in British culture, if only because presently a rather large Bowman, thank you, Anglo-Saxon supremacy. Wow, no one clip this. Only clip what Zoe said. You're actually quite a large portion of the British Library is being stored here, while it's in the midst of moving sites. So anyway, you are brought into the party by Mr. Lurk, who, being working class, presumably vanishes back to the dark hallways. And yeah, you can see there's probably about 100 odd people in here. Some not odd, but for the most part, there's quite a range of costumes. There are quite a few historical figures who, in the modern day, would probably be more scantily clad, but because they're Victorians, you're not seeing any. Maybe bared shoulders is actually okay. It is the 1890s. But you're definitely, if someone said now they were going as Cleopatra, they'd probably wear a slightly thinner linen, and so on. It's still Victorian. But certainly the imagination on display is quite considerable. Historical costumes. Many of them are, they've come in Regency era costume, or they've come in a Tudor era costume with possibly comically over large ruffs and puffed sleeves and so forth. But certainly you don't turn that many heads when you enter. Particularly since you were escorted by someone in the uniform. So yeah, you're in the party. Someone offers you some champagne.
Oh.
Mr. Leech with the mask. I don't quite know what I'm going to do with this, but it's a prop,
The gentleman stranger's costuming advisor has said bare shoulders were expected in 1890s evening dress, so we're all off the shoulders.
even the men. White tie, dinner jackets off the shoulder. Coquettish, very nice.
But wonderful.
Okay.
I say we give it a moment so that we are not in any way linked to any disturbances.
I'm gonna roll a die.
Oh no.
He's rolling a die.
He's rolling a die. That's always bad news. Are we a Sondheim musical? I feel like that's what's just happened there. I'm gonna roll. I'm always bullying Stephen Sondheim, and I think he's dead.
He is
Yes.
defo dead.
Which actually makes him the perfect target for bullying, because
No, I love Sondheim and I'll fight you.
say what I like about him now.
No, not in my house.
I hear he's married a spider. Okay, so God, I hope Sondheim doesn't have a widow. Ooh. So the fortune roll was a 5, which is fantastic. Because there's a moment when the Brownian motion of the mingling crowd parts to reveal familiar faces. Not to Mr. Leech, I don't believe, and nor to Mr. Lurk, while Mr. Lurk's still here, but to Mr. Spider, also having chosen to wear a minimalist costume, pretty much just an opera mask, but otherwise just in white tie. You recognise the lithe and snobbish figures of Messrs. Thorn and Wynne. And of course, they see you seeing them, and they both nod professionally. Oh yes, oh yeah. And one of them has a glass of champagne and raises it in a way, and you sort of exchange this look of, oh no.
Yep. I imagine Mr. Spider, who's been muttering something to Leech, just goes, damn.
I think they're going to come over.
Oh, fucking! I don't know who these people are.
No, you don't. Don't say anything, Leech.
You don't know who they are, Mr. Leech. However, there is one accoutrement they are both wearing that you do recognise, in that they both have actually, I don't think they're wearing pin badges. I think they're wearing them in the form of medals on ribbons around their neck. You recognise the imagery of a hare riding a hound, which you know Amelia has associated with this secret organisation she's infiltrating.
Mr. Spider goes, by Sondheim's widower.
What? Was that English?
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about Stephen Sondheim.
Oh, Stephen Sondheim, yes. You're right.
We were just talking about him.
We're literally talking about him.
Sondheim's widower is the new expression.
I think I was talking about so Thorn and Wynne approach you. Wynne, well, you're not sure which one's which actually. Wynne or Thorn grabbing a glass of champagne from a passing waiter.
Gentlemen.
Good evening. I wasn't aware that you had such an interest in preserving culture.
Of course. History is such a fascinating topic of conversation.
We are actually not donors ourselves. Mr. Thorn and I are fortunate enough to have been sent here to represent a client.
Oh, really? Well, we can't all be so lucky. Have you found the displays to your liking?
The other one answers, Mr. Wynne and I are not particularly educated in the ways of the antiquities, but I'm certain many of the pieces here are beautiful. They say the Earl of Elgin had exquisite taste.
Quite. Perhaps a little less luck as a sailor.
I shall take your word for it. You are dressed for an evening's work.
We're often working. No rest for the wicked.
What are you here for?
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
You have quite a nasty habit of showing up where we are. One might almost think you had an eye on our plans?
I would not flatter yourself. Quite the coincidence.
Well, you know, some things are very difficult to share between two parties. Other things less so.
True.
The last time we encountered one another, we narrowly missed coming into the acquisition of some books. Which is a pity, because the written word, of course, iconically, can be shared.
Yes. Are you perhaps here to chase something more literary?
As well as being a museum, the museum operates as quite a considerable literary collection.
Mm. So why are you here?
Our client has a particular interest in ancient Egypt.
What a coincidence.
It's rather convenient that you are here, in fact. Why, Mr. Thorne, I think we should be ashamed of ourselves. Why is that, Mr. Wynne? Because, Mr. Thorne, it did not occur to us to commission the gentlemen strangers for the work we have been sent to do. You are quite right, they are more competent at it than we are. Yes, very experienced thieves. Perhaps an arrangement can be come to, Mr. Spider.
Indeed.
Many years ago, an excavation took place at the ruined temple of Karnak, near Luxor. A certain papyrus was taken from the site, thought at the time to be a medical manual, a pharmaceutical manual in point of fact. Certainly it was believed at the time to contain various alchemical formulae. The museum has no need of it, and our client does. Were you to obtain this papyrus for us and present it to us tonight, we would pay substantially, and we would provide you with a full copy of the translation we have been commissioned to procure.
How substantially?
Look at this. Do you see that man in the papier-mâché wolf mask? That is His Grace the Bishop of Westminster, the papal legate to the United Kingdom. The Duke of Rochester and his mistress, masquerading tonight as the late Duchess. He's a school friend of the Prince of Wales, you know.
I hadn't heard.
Let us not pretend that it would be in either of our interests to cause a scene.
No.
Violence is the very last thing on anyone's minds, and Mr. Wynne and myself are frankly laughably incompetent at violence, as I'm sure you can imagine, being merely solicitors. However, half of the security guards work directly for our client, whereas I think perhaps somewhat fewer than half work for you. Therefore, since you can imagine the importance of this operation, the importance of keeping the peace, and the expense to which we have already undertaken, you might imagine we can pay fairly generously to complete the task as smoothly as possible. Therefore, I believe it would not exceed our authorization to offer you 4 coin.
Yes, I imagine that will quite do. Give us the details of the document, and we shall see to it is delivered into your hands.
You are a consummate professional, Mr. Spider.
I certainly aim to be.
It is known as the Karnak Theorem, or the Karnak Formula, and he gives a catalogue number for it.
Mr. Spider, who always has his little tiny notebook to hand, jots it down. Understandable. As you said, you have already undertaken a great deal of research into the subject. Do you have any reason to believe that there are any further impediments to this document's liberation?
Only that, unfortunately, it is stored within the labyrinthine warehousing underground. It has been very difficult for us to officially make inquiries after the document. But I suspect that we are simply less skilled in the arts of infiltration and thievery than some of our associates. And it would be better for us to be associates tonight, since we both have a mutual interest. And perhaps, after you have helped us acquire the item we have come for, we can use our considerably set up resources to help you acquire the item you have come for.
Quite.
Whatever it may be.
I'm confident that it would do us well to be allies tonight.
Are you happy with the suggested payment?
I'm quite content, thank you.
I told you he was a gentleman, Mr. Thorne.
We all are, I believe.
By this point in the conversation, you are not certain that they have consistently referred to each other as Thorne and Wynne in the same way that they did at the start.
Yep.
They don't actually look anything alike, but with their masks on, it's not that easy to tell.
Look, Mr. Spider's just kind of grateful that they haven't name-dropped Mr. Slide, the only other member of the Gentleman Strangers they've met, because he's not. He doesn't like these two. Well, if that's all, Sass?
Yes. Unfortunately, we cannot stay for too long. Our plan has been to make a brief appearance on behalf of our client and then to make a graceful and unnoticeable exit. If this harmonizes with your plans, it would be to everyone's benefit. But we will nevertheless find ourselves, perhaps not quite an hour from now, in a carriage outside.
Indeed.
You will recognize, I suspect, the marking upon it.
We shall see you there.
Gentlemen.
Gentlemen.
They stride off like wading birds. I think I've just implied they're goose stepping, but they just...
Mr. Spider finishes his champagne and then slams the glass down on the tray next to him.
That were uncomfortable.
He's wearing an opera mask, but you can see his eye is twitching.
What is the plan?
The plan continues as usual, Mr. Leech. We will liberate the document.
Are we actually giving it to them?
It would not do us well to fight them tonight. We are already at war on one front. We cannot afford another. And unfortunately, handling Thorne and Wynne was Mr. Slide's purview, and I do not have his talent at verbal jousting. we shall liberate the document. It may well be that you'll have to share its outcome with them, but we cannot win every battle, and if they are to deliver us a translation, then it will do us well in the long run.
Okay. Alright. Guess it's about time for a distraction then.
Okay, that sounds like you've accepted the devil's bargain. Wonderful. So you can add a +1 die. Okay. Ooh, I'm going to roll another die.
No.
Every time I roll it,
One.
I love this. Just going to roll one single die, and I'm looking for success. I think.
But that's for you.
Oh, I got a 6.
Hooray! Or who?
So you begin to meander your way towards, the right part of the room for making a quick dash to the. We were just on our way to the WC, when Mr. Spider.
Hmm?
Mr. Spider, is that you?
Who am I seeing?
You are seeing Lady Woodbridge.
Lady Woodbridge. Good evening.
When I saw you, I was hoping to see Mr. Slide with you. I'm sorry to bring the conversation to such an urgent matter. I do hope you and your acquaintances are well. It's just, I know that you did some work for Mr. Wick, and since he's been missing for so many months, I don't suppose you'd heard anything. I don't wish to impede his privacy if something is happening which I ought not to know about. But if you have a way of course you wouldn't be able to admit it if you did.
Is there a problem, Lady Woodbridge?
Well, I do have a problem that maybe you could solve. In fact, but no, really, when I saw you, I just thought, I know that Mr. Wick did move in some queer circles, and I thought perhaps if you did know where he was, you might at least get to him the message that it is hoped by his friends that he's well, and that if there were any way to renew our acquaintance, all discretion would be observed.
Then I am sorry to inform you, my lady, that I have not heard from Mr. Wick for some months.
No, of course, I quite understand. I know that it was a long shot.
But should you have any need, then I hope that you know that you can always count on me as a friend.
Oh, Mr. Spider, that's very kind of you. If I had another little problem at my theatre, do you suppose you might not here? Do you suppose I might send someone to speak with you about that and see what you can do about it?
Should you need me, my lady, you can get in touch with me.
Gentlemen strangers. She puts the card in her reticule. She has a reticule. Oh, how is Lady Woodbridge dressed? Well, Lady Woodbridge is fundamentally a theatrical person. She can't not dress as Cleopatra because, of course, theatre. But I think she's dressed as Cleopatra if Cleopatra were a Regency era lady. So she's dressed about sort of 80 years before now. But it's clearly she's evoking ancient Egypt. She's obviously had some jewelry commissioned, and it's possibly costume jewelry based on its quality, but she's certainly
doing Cleopatra via Lady Hamilton.
Mr. Spider knows perfectly well that Shakespeare is only properly performed if the costumes reflect the times they're performed in, not the times the plays are set. Yeah, absolutely, she's wearing this wonderful Cleopatra costume. We all shipped it, Lou. We all shipped Lady Woodbridge and Mr. Wick. If he ever returns as a ghost, maybe they can date.
He shall. I shall certainly, should I see him, be sure to let him know that he missed a phenomenal ensemble tonight, my lady.
You flatter me, Mr. Spider. Perhaps at the next one we might... Don't tell him that. Well, I shall let you get on with your evening, Mr. Spider. Oh, goodness. Very striking, sir. Very, very striking indeed. Won't you introduce us, Mr. Spider?
Oh, forgive me, Lady Woodbridge. This is my companion, Mr. Leech.
Oh, Mr. Leech. Well, it was rather charming to meet you. Gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Mr. Spider reaches for another glass of champagne. It's not wise, but nevertheless, he is clearly having a very bad time.
Yeah, I'm just leaving him to it. Well, yeah, have another one, sure.
You didn't make that cocaine in the end, did you?
I always carry some in case of emergency.
So
Specifically this emergency.
a social emergency.
Yes, a spider emergency.
A faintly awkward encounter with an old acquaintance. Oh dear, the worst thing I can imagine personally. Actually, that kind of is one of the worst things I can imagine.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, that actually is really bad. I don't want to go through that. Please, any old acquaintances watching, if we have an encounter, just don't make it awkward.
Just ignore me.
The odds of me being at the event that you're at are actually relatively slim.
It's usually like Tesco.
No, but acting like you wouldn't go to a ancient Egypt exhibit at the British Museum.
I'm trying to. There is one of them. There's a hieroglyphs exhibit on at the moment, which is running until I think February or March. I might go to that. So you are freed from the awkward social encounter.
No,
oh God,
Mr. Spider is never free.
He's not free. He is constantly haunted. Hey.
Tell me of your next scheme.
So is there an actual fountain, or are they just bringing around like trays of?
So there is a champagne fountain from which one might help oneself. It is also the fountain from which the drinks are being filled by the waitstaff.
See, here's the thing. I don't want to take too many people down because then that's like, oh my God, the champagne's been poisoned.
Luckily, I imagine they're quite wide champagne glasses. This is not the time of the flute. Therefore, if you can distract someone long enough who's holding a tray, you could always...
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Coops are much easier to poison.
Or even potentially reaching out for a coop and, dropping a pill in as you go. It's fizzy anyway, so if you've got a pellet that fizzes, then it's not gonna...
I feel like that's probably the best one that we're gonna get. Either... Yeah, let's say there's some sort of... maybe someone going around with a train. I would like to sort of like, not quite bump into them, but almost be like, oh, and then clunk. And then I'll take one of those as well. So,
well, there's going to be a roll for this.
Of course there is.
But don't worry, I still have a minor help from Photo Potato, I believe, which I haven't.
It's just Miss Ash. Of course there is.
Of course.
Game.
I just thought I could say a thing and do it. I mean, a lot of the time you will, because I do sometimes forget about dice. If there's ever a system that I propose to run for you and it has like social roles, expect to not really have to roll. I always forget about them. Not with stuff like this necessarily, but certainly with like D&D, I've never asked someone to roll charisma as far as I can remember. I don't see the point. You've either persuaded me or you haven't. It's completely arbitrary because I'm a dastard. Okay, so what are we rolling? What are we actually trying to do? Are you trying to tinker? You're trying to finesse. You really are trying to finesse. I would say finesse,
but I'm rethinking the whole banging into someone because I do have like an open wound. So maybe it is just a reach over.
I mean, it could easily be if you do a finesse, you can do you're walking. Well,
To be
Yeah,
candid,
drop-
as long as you are trying to do this unnoticed, I will be asking for finesse.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just I don't want to then open a wound. Okay, finesse. What are we at? Position?
I imagine you'd have to fail pretty badly for it to be like, oh, you walked into them and they've stabbed you.
Well, so the first thing I would say is the position is risky because obviously if someone catches you, but you're at controlled position. Controlled position. Are you controlled position? Was it risky position? Risky position standard effect, I think, for this.
Risky. Standard.
Yeah.
I don't have any bonus die. I've been shot in the side. What do I do for that?
Here's the problem. Ash. You have 0 dice in finesse. So what you would normally do in this circumstance is either get someone to help you and give you a die, or you'd spend stress to gain a die, but I would then take that die from you because of your wound. Or you could take a devil's bargain. And that will give you a die, and you won't have to spend any resources.
Izzy just shouted, "Do it" at me, so I'm going to do it.
Well,
I'm easily influenced. And...
I will propose a devil's bargain. You are, of course, entirely welcome to refuse the devil's bargain.
What's
The devil's bargain is this. I won't even make you roll. I will let you succeed at performing this action almost entirely undetected. What was that? Oh, yes. No one is going to point out that you've done this, but someone will have noticed that you've done this. Someone is going to notice that you've done this, and they're going to follow the drink and see who drinks it. But no one's going to raise a fuss, and they're not going to get you in trouble for it. Right now. And in return, hold on, I know who's going to drink the drink. I will also give you an experience point.
That'll do it. Fuck it, YOLO, let's go.
You do, that's true. Okay, fantastic. So yeah, you dispense the I mean, Izzy described it as a pill for some reason. I was imagining a little vial of liquid, but
could be a powder.
Like a liquid or something.
Also, if you poisoned Lady Woodbridge, I'm throwing you out of the gentleman's structure.
It's not poison.
Well, I mean, it literally is.
Alcohol is poison.
Like it literally is poison. It's not. So the worst. So anyway, yes, you poison this drink.
When you say it like that, it makes it sound like the bad guy.
Says the sinister figure in the plague doctor mask.
Slowly dying from a bullet wound taken a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, To
be fair, I am like obsessed with this research, right?
Yeah, no, I get it. You are.
So, anything for the heist.
Interesting.
Your bloody heist.
I see what you're angling for here, Ash. I've noted what you're angling for
maybe.
Tee naughty. Okay. Fine. So you poison the beverage, and you get away. No one seems to have raised any suspicions. Whoop, 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 and you just dash away like Roadrunner.
Mr. Spider, I've been nowhere, doing nothing.
You've been poisoning people. I know that was your plan.
What? No. It's not me. I'm a good boy.
Mr. Spider is just leaning against a wall with a glass of champagne.
Mr. Spider,
he'd been poisoned.
Izzy, you look like you've hastily cobbled together like a Queen Guinevere costume or something.
I write it.
So having poisoned the glass, who knows where it'll go to? I do. Someone consequential enough that it's going to get you an experience point automatically. I can tell you that much.
Straight to the Prince of Wales.
He's not here.
Oh, come on.
As far as you know. His close personal friend, the Duke of Rochester, is.
Yeah.
Why is a close personal friend and kind of inferred they're having an affair? I'm not going to take it back.
costume
So
party.
what's next for Spider and Leech? Sorry, Mr. Lurk, I haven't been calling on you very much, but you're.
He's doing a job. He's getting paid for this.
That is
Like
true.
he's double dipping. He's doing 2 jobs at once.
Sorry, I'm probably going to forget this, but I guess give yourself a coin. Yeah,
Time and a half.
I forget about that, but
Rad.
this is technically something you're earning on the score. So
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's just doing his job. He is just it's fine.
Okay, Leech and Spider.
I think not lurking, because that's not our job. Spidering and leeching near the near wherever the route is to the bathrooms. Waiting for something to kick off so that they can both just drift off without being observed.
Yeah. Okay. Drifting off without being observed. I mean, you're not under observation, so I don't think I'm going to ask for a prowl, since leaving the room isn't that suspicious. Like, there are loos and people are going to use them, so that's fine. So you're trying to get to the reading room, or are you trying to get to the security cloakroom?
Where is the security cloakroom?
Elsewhere.
I think. I don't remember where we had to meet. I'm so sorry. I know.
Oh, for goodness sake, none of us do.
Well, you're the mechanism of this game intrinsically allows for flashbacks. So flashbacks to a point in time when you do remember.
Yeah, I'm sure that when I was leading them back to the reading room, I would have mentioned or like subtly pointed out where the room with the my box suitcase.
Yeah. Where's your box?
Briefcase, whatever, the thing that you're putting the thing into.
So we're going to the security room.
Yes.
That's what I was confused about.
I mean, either you can get that and take it to the manuscript room, or you can just go to the manuscript room first and then put it in there on your way back. Like either of those.
One goes to get the thingy, and one goes to go get the manuscript.
No, because the manuscript's delicate. The whole point is that the manuscript's delicate.
Oh, yes. So you want to move it the least as possible? Yeah, that makes sense.
At least Okay, no. Yeah.
Mr. Spider is the group's archivist, and the idea of like just saying, "Oh, let's just carry the document," is horrifying to him. He wants to get the flat, solid document case.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is going to involve a certain amount of prowling, because there are going to be people around there.
Excellent. I've got no dice.
So you can do a group prowl if you like. Do either of you have prowl? Actually, I'm not sure. Oh, you do. You have a prowl. So you both roll prowl, and one of you decides to lead it. I'm suspecting Mr. Leech.
Mr. Leech has got nothing.
The leader isn't the person who has the most skill. The leader is the person who's got the most stress to spend.
Oh shit! Yeah, it must be you.
Oh yeah, I've got no stress. I've got 1 trauma, but no stress.
Is there anything that like Mr. Lurk could or should be doing to help?
You could perform some kind of setup action that will help them.
Yeah, like maybe if I see them, because I would have been sort of keeping an eye on them just to like, know where they are. So I think if they give him some sort of signal that we could have set up beforehand, then he can actually like get his briefcase and like set it in the hallway or something. Like put it somewhere so they don't have to like go into and like dig around and stuff.
It's flashback time.
Okay, so you can do that. I will let you do that for 1 stress.
Okie doke.
To flashback to that. Very good. So it's in a dark part of it. It's all kind of dark. You're sort of carrying lanterns. Actually, they haven't lit the hallways. So I imagine what happened is when you were guiding there, you casually like kicked a part of the wall, and that was you saying, "This is where I'll drop it." So you can do that, no problem. That's just done. So I am going to ask for a prowl check, but I'm going bonus die just doesn't seem enough. Is this enough to circumvent the need for the prowl check?
Yes.
It might be. Yeah, it is. I think it might be. You're not going anywhere it's intrinsically suspicious for you to go. Okay. Fine. I'm on board. You can do that. I'm going to advance the papyrus move from the study clock. I'm not going to advance the they've taken the papyrus clock because they're presently not trying to. Or rather, this is them trying to. Well, if they did, that'd be kind of odd. Now we've given ourselves a motivation not to pay them. So yeah, you find your way to the reading room. I'm going to roll a fortune die to see if you are spotted along the way. I'm going to roll one fortunous dice. What did I get? I got a 4. So you are not spotted along the way. You're able to make your way fairly casually. And you find your way to the only reading room with a lit lamp in it, which is probably the one you're after.
Very well. Leech?
Mm-hmm.
You go in, I'll keep watch.
In he goes.
So, you find there are several books and so forth lining the several hundred books lining the walls of the room, but laid out on the table there is indeed a papyrus. There's no pictures of any kind on the papyrus. It's all in writing, only in 2 colors, black and red. It's not in hieroglyphs. But bug it if you know what it is in, but it's definitely, everyone knows what hieroglyphs look like, and this is not it. But there it allegedly sits. Actually, because this is the British Museum, it's probably written on it in a corner its catalogue number, so you can verify that is what it is.
Okay, fine. Yeah. I guess I will get to putting it in the briefcase. Do we have the briefcase?
Yeah.
So yeah, I will I think I would take a quick glance and see how much is written down, because when it gets translated, I want to be able to like.
You can certainly do that. It's pretty dense with text. There's no space is lost to anything else. Although measuring how dense the words are packed, if you don't know what a word is in this language, is quite difficult. But certainly, if they give you a post-it note with
2 things on it,
you'll know something's rum. Yeah.
Cool, that's fine. Yeah. All right, that's all I wanted to do, just to make sure that we weren't getting mega scammed as it was. All right. I'm going to put it in the briefcase, slide it in carefully down the lining. Carefully being the optimum word there.
And out you go.
And out I go. And off we go.
Okay.
It's fine. Just there on the table. We go. Do we know what's going on in the main hall or anything? Can we?
Not at present. Unless you want to go back.
Yeah, does Mr. Lurk see a commotion or hear a commotion?
No, not at present. Not at present.
Okay.
Alright, I suppose we need to get this thing back to where we would agree we'd put it, so I'll be back in the cloakroom.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, are we still planning on, like, having Mr. Lurk take it when he's done with the night? Or since you guys know where, like, the back exit is, do you just want to leave?
Mr. Lurk also doesn't know the plan with Thorn and Wynn either. Mr. Lurk will just take it.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to go and give it to them. How long has passed? Because they said, like, in less than an hour or so.
It's getting close. You can see well, one or both of you will have a watch, and you can see that it's about 10 to the hour. So, in about 10 minutes' time, they'll make their way to the carriage.
I'll take the case out. We'll part ways just in case one of us is spotted.
Okay. You're taking the case. I guess Leech will go back to the reading room, but not the reading room. Sorry. The main hall, but via the toilets or in the direction of, so it doesn't look terribly.
Okay, Mr. Spider, you leave with the briefcase, leaving a little tip for the cloakroom attendants, no doubt.
Of course.
Mr. Leech, you return to the main hall of the party, and a few minutes waiting, very tense 10 minutes, you hear some gasps coming from a portion of the room, because His Grace the Bishop of Westminster has collapsed.
Kill the bishop.
Get him some air! Is there a doctor in the house? Sort of thing. They're sort of carrying him off, and he doesn't look very well, actually. He doesn't look very well. But you're reasonably confident in your medical abilities, so hopefully he won't die. You just take a suspicious sip.
Well, isn't that unfortunate? Oh dear. Well, party must go on.
Unfortunately, because it's an upper class British event, everyone's just trying to gloss over it and go, well, no, he'll be fine. I'm sure he will be as well, but sounds like the kind of thing that would happen. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the power of God to keep him going.
Okay. Fine. Okay. Yeah. You can. Everyone knows you can just shoot priests, because they've got the power of God to keep them going. If only Mr. Leech had been a priest, that bullet would have just bounced right off his skin. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. A lesser known power of the ordained
Missed
clergy.
a trick there, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, and that way, if someone does kill them, then you can stand over them and go, looks like someone doesn't have your back anymore.
Yeah.
You've been abandoned.
Yeah, okay. After this bit of a commotion, a few people start to go, do you know what, it is getting rather late. It is not. The gala has been going on for 1 hour.
To be fair, 1 hour is enough for me, and then I'm going home, so...
So, Mr. Spider, you head out with the briefcase, and a few minutes later, you are passed by Thorn and Wynn. They don't make any kind of eye contact with you. They stop near you. One of them sort of clears his throat, and then they walk past you.
Mr. Spider, having, I suppose, politely earlier checked this case and removed Mr. Lurk's clothes.
Where would you put them?
Yeah, really nice clothes.
I'll have put them on
surprisingly high quality for being the sort of I'm just a cowboy.
Mr. Spider is wearing his opera cape. He'll have tucked the clothes up under his opera cape because he's not going to get rid of Mr. Lurk's nice clothes, and he's got the load for it, I suppose. But so that he can very smoothly leave the case.
Where do you leave the case?
Well, once Mr. Thorne and Mr. Wynn have cleared their throat, he shall stub out his cigarette that he was smoking, put the case down, and walk away.
Oh, I see. Okay.
He's doing a smooth...
Absolutely. Well, you see.
Oh no, hang on. I've just remembered they haven't paid us.
They have not?
In which case he will put the case down by his feet and will just sort of glance at them.
One of them goes, oh goodness, my case, and stoops to pick it up, leaving behind a wallet full of cash.
Oh goodness, my wallet.
Brilliant. Who needs a slide in the party? Yes.
Mr. Spider, no matter what happens, is not the slide. He can't do it.
It's fine. Add 4 coin to your inventoire.
Superb.
Why are you doing this to me, you bastard? Right, okay. And and eventually, by various different ways, you all leave the party. Mr. Lurk, I guess you complete a shift. But
Brad.
there's no suspicion that anything bad has happened to the bishop, by the way. He just seems to have been taken ill. No one's really whispering about a poison or an assailant or anything of that kind. You note with satisfaction that a porter comes by at the right time to snuff out the lamp in the reading room and lock it up. Yeah, Mr. Leech, I guess you leave whenever you feel like leaving. Now Mr. Leech performs his true heist. Steal the Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, I'm off to go and steal several sarcophagi from... all about on... Yeah, no...
Mr. Leech shoots the curator and goes, "This is for Champollion, bitch!"
Why in particular Champollion? What?
I don't know, it was the first name that popped into my head.
He did all right.
Why not? Yeah, I will just leave at some point.
Okay. Fantastic.
Probably not too long after to meet Spider somewhere at some point. I just wander back to...
at some point, payoff from the score. You didn't generate any heat.
Woo!
You didn't generate any it's not called renown. What's it called in this? You didn't get any anyway. Rep. You didn't get any.
We should have left our business card on the place where the sarcophagus should have been.
You didn't get any rep. You didn't get any heat. You did earn 4 coin. Well, Mr. Spider's got it. I don't know what he's going to do with it, but he's got it. And of course, Lurk got a coin from that. And a few days later, Amelia will show up at the Millennium Club with an envelope within which is a translation of the Karnak Formula on Thorn Wynn and partners letterheaded paper. Yeah,
I'm sure that at some point Mr. Lurk would have asked, like, you know, I thought the plan was to bring the where's the manuscript?
Ugh.
We had an incident with some
men,
old acquaintances.
Did they steal it? Do you need? I mean, what happened?
Do you remember? I discussed an incident that Mr. Slide had with a group of gentlemen.
I'm sure that at some point Mr. Lurk did hear about that, yes.
Yes. Well, we ran into them. Turns out they were after the same document. And we cannot afford to have an increased number of enemies. Plus, they offered to have it translated for us. And I believed that since we have no means of translating Egyptian hieroglyphs, it would be for our best interest to work with them and not against them on this particular. Plus, they pay us.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you know what's best.
Yes, in this instance, it seemed for the best.
Mr. Leech, you look over the translation.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly seems to be describing a chemical process.
Yep.
It is for the making of something the translator has called spirit of amber.
Ooh.
it's written out in a very illogical way. You're going to have to spend some time turning it into an actual methodology you can follow, which will be a long-term project you can choose to undertake in downtime if you like. And once you've done that, you'll be able to produce Spirit of Amber, whatever it is the hell it's supposed to be doing. Yeah. Congratulations. You've solved my British Museum puzzle, and I got a negligible amount of Egyptology in there. Let's do some downtime, shall we? First on my list, Mr. Spider, you like to go last, don't you? So, Mr. Leech, let's start with you. How are you doing?
I need to heal myself.
I have heard this.
Yeah, I've heard that if you're not healed, it can be super bad for you.
Yeah. And like, corset probably didn't help too much either.
Kept everything squeezed in.
On the contrary, it probably helped quite a lot.
Well, it might have helped squeeze things in, but once that's released,
you just die instantly. That was it.
Out just on the floor.
That's it for you.
Yeah.
Everyone who takes off a corset has a 50% chance to just die instantly.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just the way the cookie crumbles.
It's a popular myth that putting on a corset is uncomfortable. No, taking one off can be lethal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
that's where they get you.
Should go back to stays, really.
Anyway, yes. Healing. How does one? Who the hell? Who? When?
Well, who the hell? How? When? Indeed. You would probably go to your friend Monty Jakeman.
Yeah.
To get some medical care, and then you spend a downtime action. Remember, everyone, you have but one downtime action. The only way to get a second downtime action is to spend coin.
That's fine. I need to heal myself first and foremost.
Fine. That's fine. You see where your healing clock is. It's only got one segment filled in. You just click on the word healing.
Point.
Now, how many dice are you rolling? I think he gives you. I think he gives you +1 die. It's your tier +1, but your tier is 0 at the moment. So.
And I'm not. Am I taking one away for the?
No.
Okay, so number of die 1. Sorry.
It'd be really cruel if injury made you worse at healing. Like, you lose the only healing die you've got because you're injured. Seems a bit self-referential. I don't think our Lord and Savior John Harper would want that for us.
So how many dice? 1?
Just the one, I think, yes.
Submit. Okay.
4. So you recover 2 segments on your healing clock.
Excellent. I should be good to go by the time next session's downtime.
You should be good to go by the time the 20th century starts. Do you have any coin you want to spend on a second downtime action?
I am what the kids call broke.
Flat broke. Mr. Lurk.
Yes.
Mr. Lurk, look at you. You have very little stress. You haven't taken any injuries. This is great.
Oh yeah, Mr. Lurk wasn't here for the session of everyone getting traumatized.
It was really quite bad, actually.
Yeah.
Mr. Leech got gut shot and fell subsequently into the canal. They broke their boat. It was.
And Leech is traumatized now, so that's fine.
And filled Leech's stress meter completely. Not Mr. Hound's, as we predicted at the time.
Well, I was trying to help him, so like.
So yeah, Mr. Lurk, or I should say Mr. Sullivan, what would you like to do with your downtime?
What would I like to do with my downtime? That is a good question. I would like to.
You need to like repair your marriage or something.
Your marriage is repaired. It was only for one downtime that the
yes.
Oh, okay.
The wife was unavailable. You have to find a new vice purveyor. What? I have to remarry? You have to remarry.
Delete the wife.
Yeah, right.
I want to. So if I like train a skill.
Yeah.
What does that do for me? That gives me one of the little ticks at the top of the thingy?
It will give you 2 because the Gentleman Strangers have good resources for trading. So yeah, you can tick 2. if I recall correctly, and I might not be recalling correctly, so I'm just going to check. Yeah, you don't tick 2 if you train the personal track, but you tick 2 if you train resolve, prowess, or insight.
I think that I will do. I think I would like to train in resolve.
Okay.
Given that, I don't know, it seems like we are, doing some of these things in like high society, and he knows that he is an awkward American and doesn't really know how to. He doesn't really understand like British culture and how to talk to people.
Yeah, and your wife's like, it couldn't hurt, dear.
Yeah, so maybe they're gonna go out to dinner and like practice, and like she's gonna coach him.
Oh my
on,
god!
like...
Oh, Izzy, I know what happens. You come down into the archives one day, and you see Mr. Lurk sitting with one of Mr. Slide's etiquette books, like how to behave like a gentleman. I was like, oh, not yeah. I think that's how you see
Oh no,
it.
I've died.
Perfect.
How to pulling out a chair for a lady at dinner and holding,
Yes.
all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's lovely.
Mr. Spider comes upstairs for a cup of tea and looks like, allow me, and Spider's like, what?
My goodness, am I an admiral? Yeah, brilliant, absolutely. Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that so
Wonderful.
much.
Have we done XPs as well?
I haven't done that. I'm doing down. I'll do downtimes first. I actually owe Ash something as well. Do you wish to spend your coin on a second downtime action?
No.
Okie dokie. Ash, I forgot to do this, but I'm just remembering it now. Because you did not indulge your vice, you couldn't really, but because you didn't indulge your vice, you take 1 stress. You always take stress equal to your trauma when you don't indulge your vice. I mean, technically, so did Mr. Lurk, but Mr. Lurk has no trauma yet, so that does not apply. Mr. Spider.
Hello.
Oh, Mr. Spider, I've forgotten this entire time. You've been shot in the arm this entire time.
Yeah, I just rolled any dice today.
Your hands actually. So I'm actually imagining you've had your arm in a sling.
Yeah.
And you've
But
probably
that's why he's had his opera
wedged
cape
all
off.
the clothes over the sling. Yeah, I like that. That's really good. So yeah, Mr. Spider, what would you like to do?
Right. Well, I would like to heal myself.
Yeah, you are not in a great way.
No. So I just roll healing. I don't know how to do this. Give me a second.
Did you take the coin? I don't see any coin in your inventory.
I didn't tick it. I've got it. I've ticked. Magic. There we go. So I would like to heal, and I've forgotten how to do that. Do I just roll?
Above your progress clock, there is the word healing.
Oh, do I just click the word healing?
Yeah. Hold on just a moment.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I clicked it.
Yep. You just roll me 1 die.
Give me a cup. Come on, you bastard.
A bowman redeemed a minor help.
Oh, there we go. 1 die.
Yep. You recover 1 segment.
Ah!
Why? What were you on? Okay, I see. Okay, you're still 1
I was
segment
hoping
away.
that I might recover more segments.
I'll actually, I will give the minor. I'll give the minor help for increased effect on that, so you can fill in your healing clock.
Ah!
So ringing ears disappears. And shot in the arm goes down to a level 1 harm. So your arm's no longer in the sling, but it's a bit stiff. It's still sore in the upper arm where the bullet went through. Shot through the arm. Oh no, copyright. Okay, so you also have a second downtime action, don't you? Which you can give to yourself or anyone.
I think my second downtime I am going to spend on my stress. Because I'm stressed. And Mr. Spider has had a really bad day. So I think he's going to go and sit in the archives and take some cocaine.
Okay.
He's just sat on the floor. He's got a pot of tea, a stack of books, and the photograph he's kept of the OG Gentleman Strangers, and he's going to take some cocaine and talk to Mr. Spider. Not Mr. Spider, talk to Mr. Slide.
Okay.
I don't think you're real. I think you're a figment of my imagination. But if you are real, you should probably go and haunt Lady Woodbridge. If that's the thing that you can do.
Nathaniel, you're the one haunting me.
Oh. That's rather rum business. I've been dead this whole time. Oh.
You're so literal-minded.
Oh. I always was, though, wasn't I? Oh.
For as long as I've known you, which apparently is longer than you remember.
Yes. You never told me, but I suppose I never told you.
Maybe I didn't know.
Well, I didn't. Unless we both did. Curious. Very curious.
And with that sip, he is gone once more. Please indulge your vice.
Get me some cocaine. Just one die, isn't it?
You click indulge vice and it will sort it out for you. It's actually 2 in your case, but...
Oh, because it's asking about bonus dice. No bonus dice.
No bonus. There you go. You cleared 4. Nice. That's nice. That gets you down to just the 1. Okay, so since we're on your character sheet anyway, let's do your experience points.
Superb.
Did you address a challenge with calculation or conspiracy?
I feel like we did, yeah.
I feel like you definitely did. You literally conspired with 2 people who've been... Well, the thing is, calling them enemies are kind of weird. They've never actually been... You've made yourself their enemies, but they've never actually done anything to hurt you at all, as far as I can tell.
Hurt us. They were going to kidnap a child. And
What child? What are you on about?
Weren't they the ones who were going to come and get the boy from Sydney?
No, they were after the Orbian knob.
Oh. Well, they were doing business with a man kidnapping a child.
You have twice intercepted their honest trade. But did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
I mean, I was at a fancy party, and I'm fancy. But apart from that...
If you think that earns you an experience point, then you can give yourself one.
I don't think so.
Did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during the session?
I did, yes.
Did you?
Yes, because of the Mr. Slide thing.
Because of Lady Woodbridge, absolutely, yeah, 100%. Yeah, great. Fantastic. Good for you. That's brilliante.
Good for me. Cheers.
Going back up the list, Mr. Lurk. Hello, Mr. Lurk. Did you address a challenge with stealth or evasion?
I mean, we did like stealth into there. I don't know if that's like a big enough deal to matter.
Well, I think infiltration, social stealth, I think personally that counts. Okay. So if you don't think it does...
If it hadn't been for you.
Yeah, I think that counts. Okay. Or at least I don't get to decide it counts, but I think it does. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
Not particularly.
Well,
does my background, is that like... Because I was doing like my work.
Yeah. You expressed your professional background. You used your professional background directly to help the group. Yeah, that does. That seems reasonable. Did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during the session?
I don't think so.
Okay. Fantastic. Mr. Leech. Did you give yourself an experience point earlier?
Oh, I did not. Let's dunk that one in
Okay.
there.
Did you address a challenge with technical skill or mayhem? I mean, did you? Yes, you did. You poisoned a bishop.
I did poison a bishop. That is sending me straight to hell.
That was both technical skill and mayhem, in point of fact. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background? I mean, you're welcome to disagree with me, but I would suggest that you did go to quite some lengths just to follow up on a thing that Dr. Jekyll was curious about. I mean, the other gentlemen strangers could have gone, "This is not worth our time. We are at war with another faction." So yeah. Did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during this session?
I mean, pretty obsessed with it, so I did just like I did take the devil's bargain to make sure that we could get it.
It's up to you.
Sorry?
It's up to you.
I don't know. I mean, I'm getting one anyway, so I'm all the way. I've got all the experience points for a playbook advancement.
Okay. So you filled that out.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You may now pick a special ability.
Oh my god.
Woo!
There is one that I think I feel fits quite well, but I'm only suggesting it.
Go on then. Yeah.
Well, there's the ability Physica, which, you know, you're a doctor, and everyone in your party gets +1 to healing.
Okay.
You can also, you also get bonuses anytime you try to stabilize wounds or studying poisons and maladies and stuff like that. So that's a good
You
idea.
do love poisoning people.
I do like poisoning people, so maybe I'll do that. Hell yeah.
Okay, fantastic. In that case, that is that, except of course.
Cool.
No. No.
No.
What do you
No.
mean? What do you mean no?
I mean, no. I know what you're going to do, and no.
In a dark cellar,
Shit
far
sucks.
from prying eyes, the ritual drawing of London continues. So also continues the chant of the names of the east wind. The robed figure, expertly drawing without reference the scale outline of London, looks up for a moment as a new shadow crosses the circle. Hastily, they look back down and continue their painstaking work. Overseeing this labour is a tall figure in cloth of gold, wearing an ancient crown, an elaborate full-face mask, and with a ceremonial quiver of golden arrows hanging at his belt. The storm continues to gather. And we're at 5 out of 8 segments on whatever the hell that is.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm scared.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our session. Thank you all for showing up. Huge thanks to Zoe, Izzy, and Ash for being excellent players as always.
And thanks to Lucas for being an excellent storyteller.
Well, and credit where it's due to Zoe for being the one to point out that I hadn't done a British Museum one or an
Was
ancient.
I the one who pointed that
You
out?
were pretty much
Thanks.
the day you joined the cast. You were like, have you actually done a British Museum? I was like, no, nor an ancient Egypt one.
Thanks also to our 2 specialist advisors, the armchair Egyptologist and my best friend, Bernadette Banner.
Yes, thanks to Bernadette Banner, the ghost of Bernadette Banner, who I assume was an Edwardian lady.
She's still alive, but she also has a ghost.
All Edwardian ladies were practicing
And of course,
spiritualists.
Sincere apologies to Stephen Sondheim's husband. We're sorry for
Calling you a wife.
Calling you a spider, too.
Oh, Stephen Sondheim has a man wife. I'm so sorry, Stephen Sondheim's late widower. Late widower? I've just killed him too. I'm unstoppable.
They're together now.
Reunited.
I would like to say that I disavow the words of my fellow trash crewers and will be sure to yell at them.
Okay. But also thanks to our wonderful supporters on Patreon, whose beautiful names are literally in no particular order because for some reason I forgot how to do anything alphabetically. Dinkledore, the Armchair Egyptologist, Gross, Ken Poyner, Photosynthetic, Elegos Alexander, Andre Cherepnin, Joe, Araloki, Henry Prestige, James Malloy, and the Mikes and Michaels, variously Fielding, Bowman, and Kerblin. Mike Kerblin. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we wish you a speedy recovery. All things being well, we will see you in 2 weeks' time, which is to say the 5th of February. Look at that.
No. Shut up.
Wow, we just didn't get started that early in January. That's okay. 5th of February is when we'll see you next. For more Gentlemen Strangers and maybe more filling up of this weird clock Izzy really doesn't like so much.
I fear the clock.
the clock is probably something to be feared. But until then, we will see you around on here, on Twitter, on the Discord. At some point, YouTube will start updating the magical elves who do that. Sometimes forget to do it. I will chastise them duly. But I hope you all have a wonderful couple of weeks. Take care of yourselves as always. And we need what's the thing we should say? And stay...
Gentlemen.
Stay strange. Oh, I like stay strange.